Chapter 14. The Law. Love is the fulfilling of the law. Romans 13:10. Study the hearts of men, that you may know what is the world in which you live and of which you will be a part. Regard the constantly changing and moving life which surrounds you, for it is formed by the hearts of men, and as you learn to understand their constitution and meaning, you will by degrees be able to read the larger word of life. Light on the Path, Rule 12. All life is law. There is but one law, love. All life and all law is vibration. Hence the law of love must manifest through the whole gamut of vibration, becoming thus both the law and the fulfilling of the law. When God, love law, sent his only begotten Son, the light, to earth, there shot forth a great shaft of living fire, vibrant with creative force, into the darkness, or the germs of manifested life, where at once a cyclic motion was begun in every atom, and all things began their cyclic evolution. Worlds, creatures, atoms, each with its own innate potency, awakened to activity by the light, the spirit of breath which moved on the face of the waters. Some faint conception of how this ray of force cleaves the darkness can be gathered by watching a skyrocket shooting up into the blackness of the night. For some distance it is apparently a solid shaft of fire, yet in reality every particle is in rapid cyclic vibration. Every molecule is swirling at a high rate, and only because of this vibratory force is the rocket propelled onward. The law followed by the teeny atoms of fire in the path of the rocket is the same law that governs worlds, planets, suns, and systems. Each turns around its own axis, yet all continue upon their own appointed path upward and onward into new regions. While each turns upon its own axis and circles around its own sun, still the whole universe is being propelled onward through space, changing conditions through which it passes, and by the very force of its cyclic vibration setting all in contacts into a motion of its own. It is this great law, divine love, which creates all things and holds them to their appointed path, that they may evolve their germs of good and transmute their germs of evil, for evil is but opposition to the law. The light is the firstborn and only begotten Son of God, for it is the first expression of God force or love to manifest, just as terrestrial light is the primeval manifestation of our visible sun, and light includes within itself all vibrations. Just as the rays of the sun start the seed to growing in the earth and ultimately draw back again the force of the perfected tree, so the only begotten Son of God, through love, both plants the seeds of immortality in earth conditions, matures it and brings it into perfection, that it may be indrawn into the Father. The law manifests in 7 major aspects. 1. Order. 2. Compensation. 3. Cause and effect or karma. 4. Vibration. 5. Cycles or periodicity. 6. Polarity. And 7. Balance or poise. No one aspect manifests alone, but while each may predominate, in turn all the others manifest at the same time as subordinate factors. 1. Order. Not a grain of sand blown by the wind on the seashore, but is following the law as order, for the wind acts as the servant of the law. There being no such thing as chance. Everything in life comes in orderly sequence. Nothing can come into your life outside of this law. There is always a place and a time for everything and a reason why it comes. It is according to law as orderly sequence. Everything is brought to you at just the right time and place to bring to you the help or the lesson needed to take your next step. All comes to you through divine love. 2. Compensation. The law works as compensation in that in every experience, be it painful or otherwise, there is a compensating power to be gained or a reward which is well worth the suffering necessary to build it into soul growth. This is also love. A woman when she is in travaileth has sorrow, because her hour is come. But as soon as she is delivered of the child, she remembereth no more the anguish for joy that a man is born into the world. In the lower forms of life, when an eye, for instance, is needed, it is gradually developed for extreme sensitiveness acquired by the repeated stimulations given to the nerves of a certain part by the continual bumping of the organism into objects which it cannot see to avoid. The compensation is an organ of sight. 3. Cause and effect or karma. Inextricably blended with the law as compensation is that aspect known as karma. That is, effects of causes set up in previous times or former lives are brought to you in orderly sequence to be worked out, and in turn to set up fresh causes. The great point to understand in this manifestation of the law is that karma is neither a reward nor a punishment for past deeds, and still less is it an avenging nemesis remorsefully exacting an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, but is the effect of causes in the sense that it brings to the soul the opportunity to learn certain lessons which it has not learned in past lives, hence which the law of love brings to it through this manifestation that it may gain the soul quality needed for further progress. 4. Vibration. All events which are brought into your life in orderly sequence with the intention of compensating you are brought through the aspect of cause and effect by the law's vibration. This teaches you to correlate and attune yourself to the infinite vibration of divine harmony, so that through the law as vibration, the evil or inharmonious aspects of life may be dissipated and the rhythm of all life be attuned to the infinite. 5. Cycles or periodicity. There can be no concept of life outside of or apart from vibration, and all vibration is cyclic. Everything manifests in cycles, from the sprouting of the teeniest blades of grass, its fruition and decay, to the times and seasons of suns and systems, Manvantara and Pralayas. Every event is governed by cycles, period of activity, period of rest, corresponding to the downward and upward sweep of manifestation and obscuration of the outbreathing and inbreathing of the great breath of Brahman. The life of each individual is also governed by cycles within cycles. All students notice periods of great spiritual uplift, followed by periods of depression and deadness. These extremes can only be overcome by the knowledge of the law as periodicity or cycles. When the period of depression comes, balance it with the forces received during the exaltation, recognizing that it is a period of inbreathing, the time to indraw and digest the lessons of the active period. Only thus can balance or poise be attained. 6. Polarity. Until all the aspects of the law have been brought into perfect polarity and attuned to the divine rhythm of the great law of love, polarity is broken up into many lesser polarities which manifest under the law of opposites, good and evil, like and darkness, male and female, etc. If we break a magnet into 1,000 pieces, each piece will have its positive and negative pole, but its power will be but a faint reflection of the power manifested in the one. When true polarity is attained, all will be in perfect harmony with the positive pole of divine love, the negative pole of human love reaching up unwaveringly and merging itself into that love, and all the forces interacting in perfect rhythm from pole to pole. The polarity of the law has literally been broken and separated into its various aspects instead of manifested in its entirety. Man, through his disobedience, has broken the law, yet he must become one with the law, or the hammer of Thor will break him into pieces. Just as a ray of white light in passing through a prism is broken up into its 7 aspects of color, each manifest in an individual force, so the law of love is passing through the dense darkness of physical life is broken up and deflected, so that 7 aspects work individually, bringing about chaotic conditions. If we isolate the red ray at one extreme of the solar spectrum, its effect would be heat and overexcitement tending toward feverish and inflammatory conditions with little illuminating power. At the other extreme of the spectrum, the action of the violet ray would be to kill low forms of life, both bacterial and organized cell life, and in higher forms to cause disorganization and insanity. And each of the other color rays has been found to have its own special action, which when separated from others is inimical to man. But each, when used with wisdom or synthesized into white light, contains a quality of helpfulness. In fact, these various aspects are the forces, each with its own individual work to do, alluded to as the 7 sons of Fohat, or the 7 differing manifestations of force, all of them contained within the one white light of divinity. Only when these 7 sons are united in their parent ray can there be light, for while separated they manifest color rather than light. So it is with the law of divine love. When the law is broken and its differing aspects strive to work individually, as they do in this world of effects, there is confusion, darkness, and a turning away from God, or a manifesting of the opposite pole of good, evil. But in reality, there is only a lack of positive polarization. 7. Balance or poise. The heart of these various activities of the law is balance or poise, for only when poise is attained, or that center where vibration is so rapid as to be peace, can all the aspects of the law be synthesized and perfected. All temptations met with on the path come through the various aspects of love, even Jesus in the wilderness, being obliged to face and conquer the love of power, dominion, and ambition. On earth we see love manifested as love of gold, love of power, love of self, love of pleasure, love of animal gratification, and so forth, all perverted or negative polarizations of divine love. Divine love and human love are often thought of as quite separate, while in reality they are but opposite poles of the one force. There is no manifestation of the law on earth capable of touching the depth or reaching the heights in its cyclic sweeps as polarity or human love when not wedded to wisdom. Through love perverted has man touched the depths of degradation, yet because love is a divine law, one from the beginning, it must forever sweep upward and onward, and like a mighty whirlwind gather up all it touches. In its journey back to its source, love gathers up and synthesizes its 7 manifestations and thus fulfills the whole law of being. God is love, and God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son, light or love made manifest, to descend into the darkness of the unmanifested mass of substance or matter, that out of it love might work the fulfillment of the law. From the earliest dawn of creative thought to the present moment, his love thus worked its way up through matter. Many say that before Jesus came, there was but the thundering of the inexorable law of the Old Testament, or what the Hindus called karma, but that Jesus came to substitute for the law the glad tidings of redemption through love. But Jesus himself said, "I come not to destroy the law, but to fulfill it." The law, which we are wont to call inexorable justice, in reality could be neither just nor inexorable were love left out. For love is the one and only reality which endures from eternity to eternity. Hence Jesus, the perfected man, did not come to do away with the law, but to straighten out man's misconception of it, to emphasize the fact that justice becomes injustice and cruelty when love is left out. That law is love, and that which we look upon as an awful, inexorable punishment is in reality but the force of love striving to counteract man's disobedience to the law and lead him back into the path where love alone can redeem. Hence the glad tidings of Jesus were simply to point out to the world that love is the fulfillment of the law, is the recognition of the law is love, and that only through love can it be fulfilled. There can be no punishment, injustice, or fear for those who recognize and live at one with the law of love. A careful analysis will show that every test, trial, or temptation is brought about through the negative polarization of love, by a breaking up of the law, a refusing to find balance, and a consequent revolving around an individual center, a getting out of harmony with that which keeps all things in their appointed path. This negative polarization is the cause of so many unhappy marriages. Man feels a stirring of the divine love force within him, pushing his whole nature onward toward God consciousness, and instead of at once polarizing himself to this divine love, he often seeks to polarize himself to some human love which the law does not bring to him, and thereby forces him, both himself and that of the other, out of harmony with the law. And sooner or later the divine fire in both atoms must die out, and like burned out cinders, they fall back to earth filled with disappointment, sorrow, and coldness. He fails to realize that just as he focuses his consciousness upon the positive pole, all that belongs to him, his own, the little swirling love atom that is his earthly complement, must come to him as he becomes one with the law, for its lawful place is by his side, and without its help he could not fulfill the law of love. Heretofore man has been misapplying the law and placing himself under its negative aspect, evil, and through the ensuing suffering has been learning to lift up his eyes afar off and long for his Father's home. But the time will come when man must balance the effect of the negative aspect, suffering, by manifesting under the positive aspect, love, and reap his reward. The suffering may be the means of turning man Godward, but the ultimate knowing of God can only come through love. The negative aspect of divine love has evolved up through humanity until the turning point was reached, and now the positive aspect must come into manifestation. Jesus outlined to the world a grander conception of the divine love in what is known as the New Dispensation, but it takes very little thought to realize that this new dispensation has never yet manifested in humanity as a whole. It has never been more than a grand ideal to which only a few isolated examples have attained. This new dispensation can never be realized until man begins to polarize his whole life to divine love and manifest its positive or good aspect as he has its negative or evil, thus gaining perfect equilibrium. This is the esoteric meaning of the injunction, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." In other words, when you have polarized all your life and love to divine love, and when you are living thus harmonized to your proper place in the stream, all that is yours must be swept onward with you. As long as you refuse to understand the law and think of yourself as an atom separated from the mass, or pick out for yourself another atom to revolve around, you are destined to remain in a negative polarization and fall to earth again and again, as do the sparks in the skyrocket which have lost their oneness with its fiery heart. Men love darkness rather than light because their deeds were evil. Their deeds may not be absolutely wicked, but they tend away from the positive pole of light or divine love, and hence must manifest darkness rather than light. The lesson to be learned is that you do not have to seek for something afar off or foreign to your nature, for you are living in a world of love, created by love, which embraces every atom in the universe in its fiery heart. That you will suffer until you learn to desire the light. That light or love is turned into darkness as long as it is broken up into lesser loves. There is but one way, the way of the Christ, the only begotten Son, the light, which is the way, the truth, and the life. You must deliberately turn your heart toward divine love and realize that the instant you thus turn, you are vibrating with the stream, and must of necessity be swept onward and upward, and must draw with you every other atom that is in any other way harmonized to you. Then help, strength, power, companionship, and love must come to you, because you are harmonized to the stream of divine love, which is ever working toward perfection. You suffer only as you get out of harmony with the law by passing it through the prism of your lower personality, and hence producing various colors rather than light. The world is struggling in the stream. The rocket has been shot from its motor and cleaves the darkness in one swirling stream of firing particles. Many in the stream know not whither they are bound, but they are in the fiery current. They whirl round and round, each little soul a vortex of fire, each cycle of each spark seeming to be a complete universe, shutting out all else, apparently vibrating to some force whose center is within the atom. Yet in reality all are being drawn onward and upward in love in a straight line back to the source whence they came. As the fire and force of the rocket are drawn to their source, the sun, the storehouse of both light and force, while that which belongs to earth, the stick and the ashes, falls back to earth. Love fulfills the law for each atom, for each soul. The lessons of each are brought by love. Only the hearts that are cold and dead to divine love and persistently seek human polarization fall back to earth as cinders. Those that are alive and glowing sweep ever on. As you go out into the world, you must dwell in this current of divine love. And as you feel its force thrilling through you, know well that its center is not in the little puny life around which you revolve, but in the heart of the one life. That the main lesson is not that you find satisfaction in being in the stream, but that you lend the fire in your heart toward propelling the rocket even higher, and that fire within must be the indwelling Christ force. The positive pole cannot manifest without the negative pole. The divine cannot manifest without stirring up earth conditions. Your temptations will come through love. That which is purest will seem to stir up the most impurity. That which is divine will bring sorrow and discouragement. How then shall you become one with the law? By polarizing your love to divine love, by merging your spark into the heart of the vortex, where all is rest and harmony and peace. This is the work of this order, and this is your work. You cannot expect the world to attain peace and love unless you manifest peace and love, not merely to one atom, but to all. You must demonstrate your ability to stand still amid the swirling currents of life and hold on to the center of the whirlwind, the heart of love. Recognize that turbulence and disasters and suffering are but the results of the outpouring of divine love, that they come not as karmic retribution, but that through the vibration of love the law may be fulfilled. You must lend your love to make this order a great fiery stream of divine love that shall draw to it and make glowing all the little fiery hearts that are following crooked paths and growing cold and falling back into the darkness. Your mission is to point out how that which is apparently evil can be polarized to good, how discouragement can be turned into ardor, how suffering can be turned into joy. Study the lessons in the book of life. On every page will you find the word love. Many pages may be clouded and obscured. Many may be almost obliterated with tears. Many may be besmirched with mire. But because you have been drawn into this fiery stream of divine love, you will have the power to decipher the pages, to trace the story of the love that has been guiding you through all the dark and sorrowful pages. you can show the stricken ones and the heart hungry that they are still in the stream, that it is love that is leading and guiding them, that the law is whirling them round and round only to bring them and their backs to God, that there are other pages in the book pure and unsullied, wherein they may learn to write their names.